Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers, and this morning I'm looking at a long review of a book from Jordan's, which will be of great interest mainly to solicitors probably, but also to counsel. It's Probate Disputes and Remedies, this book here, now in the third edition, been written by three people, Goodman, Paul Hewitt and Henrietta Mason. Quite a lot of other people involved. You can see on the back of the book there's a lot of information and the names of the people involved. The book itself runs to 300 pages. There's a good index at the back, very much standard for Jordan's. Some useful information at the back concerning various samples involving disputes. You do have paragraph numbering, which I find very helpful to find things quite quickly. There are lots of examples. They're basically a very few footnotes in this. I'll just give you an example of one that I have spotted, but there really aren't very many because they don't really need them. The basic point of this is that the information that you need, you can see here, that's just a little bit of extra explanatory information. The basic point though is that you've got the chapter headings and you've got the paragraph numbering, which in fact assists as much as is probably needed for this type of publication. It's certainly worth reading. That's the front cover of the book there. There's a nice dedication, which is always important because obviously these people have been extremely helpful and it's useful to see that people are remembered. There's a preface as well, which is very helpful, and a preface to the original first edition. Then you've got the contents pages, and then after that, there's a lot of them, a table of cases, huge number of those, and then you go straight into the main areas of dispute. And what we're basically asked for, which is, well, I've got a dispute, what is the remedy going to be? Of course, that's the big question for most of our clients. Now, we've written a review which is on the web and in the journals, and we've given it the title, this is my wife and I, Practical in-depth guidance to the law and procedure of contentious probate. This is what we say. If you're a practitioner involved in contentious probate work, you deserve every sympathy. Please don't take this too literally. There are quite a few lawyers out there who would run a mile rather than deal with probate disputes involving disgruntled beneficiaries or squabbling creditors, plus all the other problems that can and do accrue in connection with a will. However, if this is your lot in life, this book is on hand to help you. Now, a lot of people are involved in this area of work, and as I say, if this is the sort of thing you do, this book is absolutely fundamental to what you need, because it's not too big, but it's got everything that you really want in one particular place. It's been recently published by Jordan's, as I say, in a third edition now, and the updated work of what is a well-established work of reference today, because it was first published in 1997, has actually addressed a lot of what the authors refer to as a growing phenomenon, which in view of the increasing number of probate disputes still keeps growing, and therefore it's something we need to look at because of the fact that people are disputing what is happening when probate is being looked at. The popularity, for instance, of home ownership, together with increasingly complicated family relationships, diverse relationships and so forth, are to a large extent just two of the factors which lie at the heart of probate disputes. Obviously, we've all got our funds of cases from the past, I'm sure, of interesting ways in which families sort of develop and have a real mixture. But we've got more of that, and so this book comes to fill the gap in our knowledge and experience and what we actually need to do when we're advising clients. The book's actually divided into 6 parts, comprehensively covering such areas as pre-death issues, death and burial disputes, and obtaining the grant, including securing the will. And part 4 deals with the whole panoply of problems connected with the will itself, including validity disputes, creditor claims, and claims made by disappointed beneficiaries. There are quite a few of those out there too, as I'm sure many of you will know. There's also a chapter here on tax evasion, seems to be inevitable these days, foreign taxes and criminal matters, which again will be helpful because I'm afraid that does come into it from time to time in this area. Those with a global practice, of course, will also find the chapter on the foreign element very useful. It deals, for example, with English people deceased with foreign assets. And finally, part 6 examines in some detail the issues and remedies connected with claims against professional advisors, from the fully qualified solicitors to will writers, all of whom, by the way, are charged with the same professional responsibilities involving the accurate drafting of wills. And that in itself is something that's of course of great importance to many people. So with the needs of the hard-pressed practitioner very much in mind, the authors have featured numbered paragraphs throughout with a detailed table of contents, which I showed you earlier, an index and 2 appendices right at the back, one dealing specifically with probate disputes, the other containing sample documents. Again, very helpful because it may be that it will mirror something that you're dealing with. Those doing further research will also appreciate the extensive tables of cases, statutes and statutory instruments which are included. Let me conclude by saying that almost without doubt it is an understatement to say that this book is indispensable for those practicing in this complicated and sensitive area of law. Certainly the book should be considered an essential acquisition for every practitioner's library if that's the area you practice in, and the law is stated to be correct as at the 23rd of February 2014. And just to remind you, that's the book, as I said, quite heavy, 300. These are the sample in the appendices, the sample letters and various other things. I do find those very helpful. And then there are witness statements, that sort of thing. Again, that is quite helpful because when you're doing some of this work, it's always useful to just have something to prod you as the practitioner into what you might be going into. And it also refreshes the memory a bit in case you've forgotten how it's done or the particular way you do it in particular areas of substantive law. Anyway, I'd like to thank the authors and Jordan's. It's a good book. Well worth having, and a privilege to review it because I think it's an important area and could well be very much a growing area with some of the problems we're having today. So thank you to all. Bye bye.